Imagine feeling completely stuck, maybe even a bit overwhelmed by your finances. You're trading precious hours of your life for a paycheck that feels like it's just enough to get by, watching the clock tick, wondering if Job Charming is ever going to show up to save you. That anxious feeling about bills, the quiet worry of the future, it's a scenario many of us know all too well. Today, our deep dive isn't just about money. It's about unlocking a different path, one that leads to profound freedom.
It's a powerful starting point, isn't it? What's truly compelling here is how an individual, starting from virtually nothing, a mere $2.26 in his bank account, managed to redefine his entire financial trajectory in just 5 years, ultimately accumulating over $1 million. It just immediately challenges so much of what we've been taught about saving and retirement.
Yeah, it really does.
So our deep dive today is squarely based on the transformative insights from Grant Sabatier's remarkable book, Financial Freedom: A Proven Path to All the Money You Will Ever Need. Our mission is to distill the most impactful nuggets of knowledge from this source, giving you a profound understanding of how money truly works, presented in an engaging and hopefully entertaining way.
Exactly. We're focusing squarely on actionable strategies, right? Providing clear, real-world applications to help you transform your financial life and confidently pursue your deepest aspirations.
That's the plan.
That's it, exactly. The core premise here fundamentally challenges conventional wisdom. It insists that money isn't just a tool for paying bills or, a distant retirement fund. It's about something far more vital. Money is freedom. This perspective shifts everything. Every dollar you choose not to spend today isn't just a saving, it's a piece of your future freedom, a moment you might not have to work, a chance to pursue a passion. This deep dive will offer a refreshing, actionable blueprint that might just make you question everything you thought you knew about your financial future.
And what makes Sabatier's story so compelling, so inspiring, is that personal journey. From 2.26 cents to over $1 million in just 5 years. It sets an almost unbelievable tone, doesn't it?
Totally unbelievable.
Yet the book promises a concrete path for anyone truly willing to learn and apply these strategies.
Okay, let's unpack this. He starts with a pretty grim picture, right? This feeling of being stuck.
He really does. It's a narrative that resonates, especially for those who feel trapped. Sabatier's personal journey begins with a stark picture of the bleak reality he encountered in his first professional job after college. He describes this sterile office park located 2 hours from his home, a place devoid of open windows, filled with stale, recycled air.
Oh.
And lit by fluorescent lights so blindingly bright they made his eyes ache in his cramped 4-foot-wide half cubicle. He talks about living in a constant state of stress, overeating out of sheer boredom, battling anxiety, and struggling with sleep.
Sounds familiar to many, I'm sure.
And his alarm clock, sort of a symbol of his daily grind, blared at 4:50 a.m., forcing him out of bed to repeat the same grueling routine. He spent his days watching the minutes of his life literally tick by on his computer clock, a tangible countdown of his precious time being traded for a paycheck. This was, in his words, a profound feeling of wage slavery.
That feeling of being stuck on a treadmill, relentlessly trading precious hours of your life just to get by, is incredibly relatable for so many of us. You try to convince yourself that it will all be worth it in the long run, that every minute, every dollar earned is bringing you closer to some distant, idealized future.
Right. But the reality for him, and for many, was living paycheck to paycheck. He describes how the first check of the month would just vanish into rent, the second into credit card debt that only seemed to grow despite his best efforts.
Yeah, and you tell yourself, I'll save next month.
Exactly. He'd constantly tell himself, I'll save next month when I earn more, when I'm older, but that next month never seemed to arrive. He worked tirelessly all week, then spent recklessly on the weekends, caught in this cycle that offered no escape.
Yeah, that boom and bust cycle within the month.
This kind of unsustainable financial cycle often leads to a breaking point, and for Sabatier, it came just 6 months into that soul-crushing job. He was fired.
Wow.
Looking back, he did the math, and it's a truly sobering calculation. In those 6 months, he had traded 1,400 hours of his life, a significant chunk of his 20s, for a meager $15,500 after taxes.
Ouch.
And not only did he have nothing left to show for it, but he was also burdened with a staggering $12,000 in credit card debt.
So he went backwards.
He went backwards. This wasn't merely a setback, it was a profound aha moment, a stark revelation of the true cost of his time and the absolute ineffectiveness of his approach to money. He spent the next 2 years bouncing between unemployment and other jobs, still unable to save, even suffering debilitating anxiety attacks over his financial precariousness.
That sounds incredibly stressful.
It underscores for him, and I think for us, the urgent need to question accepted wisdom and actively forge a new path, rather than passively just hoping for circumstances to change.
And his story isn't an isolated incident, is it? It resonates with a broader generational reality, particularly for millennials. The source reveals that the average millennial income is approximately $35,592 per year.
Which is less than half of what their parents earned at the same age, even after adjusting for inflation. Think about that.
Yeah, that's staggering. And adding to this burden, many carry an average of $36,000 in student loan debt.
Right.
So when you combine these factors with alarmingly low savings rates, millennials under 25 are saving a paltry 3.9% of their income, and those aged 25-34 are managing just 5.35%. It makes traditional retirement strategies, the kind our parents were advised to follow, literally impossible for most. The numbers simply don't add up.
Precisely. The traditional advice of simply saving 10-15% of your income, which was maybe barely sufficient in past generations, is just wholly inadequate in today's economic reality. The source confronts this directly, asking, what are we supposed to do? Work until we fall down dead at our desks. We are on our own. This isn't just a rhetorical question. It underscores a profound sense of urgency, maybe even abandonment, as the old systems seem to be failing.
It feels that way sometimes.
And this brings us to a crucial point about the fundamental flaws in traditional retirement advice. It's simply not designed for the lives most people are living today. It doesn't work for the majority. It often requires spending the most vibrant and valuable years of your life working primarily for money. And it's certainly not structured for anyone hoping to achieve true freedom or retire before their 60s.
That's the insidious work until you die trap, isn't it? It paints a grim picture of a future where our only viable option is an endless grind without a clear finish line in sight. The source really drives this home by referencing Bronnie Ware's incredibly poignant book, The Top 5 Regrets of the Dying. It's a sobering thought experiment, but the top 2 regrets she cites are deeply powerful, and notably, they're not about money at all.
What are they?
I wish I'd had the courage to live a life true to myself, not the life others expected of me, and I wish I hadn't worked so hard.
Wow, that hits hard.
It really does. It highlights the profound, non-financial cost of simply accepting the status quo and prioritizing work over living a life of genuine purpose. It's not just about achieving financial freedom, it's about securing life freedom itself.
It truly is a profound shift in perspective, moving beyond mere financial calculations to deeply personal values. And while the author acknowledges that early retirement, especially the kind that involves significant leisure, remains a privilege for those earning less than $25,000 per year who are focused on basic survival.
Right, you have to acknowledge that reality.
Absolutely. But the source unequivocally states that it's still possible for almost anyone with immense creativity and sacrifice. It cites the inspiring, albeit maybe extreme example of a happy wanderer living on just $5,000 a year.
$5,000.
$5,000 a year. This isn't about accumulating vast wealth for its own sake. It's about attaining the fundamental freedom to control your time in life, regardless of your current income level, if you're willing to make radical and intentional choices.
That life-altering realization hit Sabatier hard as he lay in the grass, staring up at the sky, contemplating his future. He pictured 40 more years stretching out before him, trapped in another bleak office, another stifling cubicle. The thought of potentially retiring in his 60s seems not just distant, but increasingly unlikely, given the economic headwinds facing his generation.
Yeah.
That's the moment he decided to set 2 seemingly unrealistic goals. First, to save $1 million, and second, to retire as quickly as humanly possible. This was his true turning point, the moment he realized he had to do something different.
And the core philosophy he adopted was revolutionary in its simplicity. Time is finite, incredibly precious, and ultimately more valuable than money, which is, in essence, unlimited.
That flips everything.
It flips the traditional mindset completely on its head, recognizing that you can always make more money, but you can never get back lost time.
So that philosophical shift is key. How does that translate into practical strategies? Let's talk about compounding.
Right. That philosophical shift from viewing time as a commodity to valuing it as an irreplaceable asset is what truly unlocks the actionable strategies in this book. Take the concept of compounding, for instance. It isn't just an abstract financial principle you learn in a textbook. It's quite literally one of the craziest things about money.
It feels like magic sometimes.
It really does. It's the almost magical process where your initial investment begins to earn money on its own, and then those earnings also start to earn money. This creates an exponential growth curve that tirelessly works for you, amplifying your wealth without requiring any additional effort from your part.
And it truly feels like magic when you see it in action. Let's look at a concrete example straight from the source to make this tangible for everyone listening. If you invest a modest $100 and it grows by 10% annually, which is, a realistic long-term stock market average in year one, your $100 becomes $110. Simple enough.
Oh.
But here's where the magic begins. In year two, that $110 becomes $121. Notice, you're not just earning another $10 on your original investment, you're earning $11 because the previous year's earnings, that extra $10, are now also working for you.
That's the key, that extra dollar.
That additional dollar might seem insignificant, but when you zoom out and look at the long-term impact, it's astounding. Over 40 years, that original $100 investment, without you adding another single cent, would be worth an incredible $5,370.
Wow, from just $100?
From just $100. That's an astounding 5,270% increase on your initial $100.
The profound power of compounding becomes even more evident when you introduce consistent, even small, contributions. Building on that example, if you were to add just $1 per month to that original $100 investment over the same 40 years.
Just $1 a month.
Just $1 a month. Your total personal contribution would only be $480. Yet, thanks to the relentless force of compounding, that total grows to a remarkable $11,694.
That's amazing.
This vividly demonstrates that it's not just about starting with a large sum, it's about consistent, disciplined action over a long period. Even seemingly insignificant contributions can create substantial wealth over time, making it accessible to anyone who starts early and stays consistent.
So what does this all mean for you, the listener? It means every single dollar you manage to save and invest early has the truly astonishing potential to become many, many more dollars down the line, often without you having to lift another finger. It is, in essence, your money diligently working for you, creating that passive income stream that is the ultimate goal of financial freedom.
Yep.
But, as with all things in life, there's a flip side to this powerful coin. A silent, insidious threat that can relentlessly erode your hard-earned gains. Inflation.
Ah, yes, inflation. This raises a critical question for anyone looking to secure their financial future. How do you ensure the future value and purchasing power of your money isn't quietly diminished by the rising tide of costs?
Right.
Inflation, simply put, is the general increase in prices for goods and services, which correspondingly decreases the purchasing power of your money over time. The source uses the vivid, relatable example of a cup of coffee. In 1920, it cost a mere 15 cents. But today, that same cup can set you back over $2, sometimes even more.
Yeah, easily.
That's the relentless effect of inflation at work. In the United States, inflation has historically averaged between 2% and 4% annually. This seemingly small percentage means that your savings today will buy significantly less in the future if left unprotected.
So your money loses value just sitting there.
Exactly. The source paints a stark picture. If you save, say, $470,967 over 40 years, when adjusted for a conservative 2-3% annual inflation, that sum could have the purchasing power of only approximately $144,378 in today's dollars.
Wow, that's a huge difference.
It is, and if you were to retire at 65 and that money needed to last for 14 years, it would leave you with a mere $10,312 per year in 2019 purchasing power to live on after taxes. That's a truly insufficient amount for a comfortable retirement.
And that's precisely why understanding this silent threat is so incredibly crucial. But the good news is there are proactive ways to shield yourself from its impact. The source introduces a fascinating concept called inflation shields, often achieved through something known as geographic arbitrage.
Geographic arbitrage. Tell me more.
This powerful strategy is all about insulating yourself from the effects of inflation by creatively changing where you live or how you consume services. Christy and Bryce, a Canadian couple highlighted in the book, retired in their early 30s. They minimized the impact of inflation on their accumulated savings by choosing to live in countries with significantly lower inflation rates and a lower cost of living than their home country of Canada.
So like moving abroad.
Exactly. We're talking places like Bali, Thailand, or many countries in South America where the US dollar or their Canadian dollar is strong, allowing their money to stretch significantly further and maintain its purchasing power for decades.
What stands out about this strategy is how it fundamentally shifts the focus from simply accumulating a massive sum of money to intelligently optimizing your cost of living on a global scale. You can effectively increase your purchasing power and make your accumulated wealth last dramatically longer by strategically choosing locations where your dollar has greater strength.
And it's not just living, right? It could be healthcare too.
It can even extend to utilizing more affordable services like healthcare outside of traditional high-cost nations. It's a proactive, global approach to managing the unpredictable nature of inflation, empowering you to live richly on less.
Okay, so we've got the value of time, the magic of compounding, the threat of inflation, and this idea of geographic arbitrage. Now let's dive into the actionable blueprint that Grant Sabatier presents. His plan for achieving financial freedom is meticulously broken down into 7 distinct steps.
7 steps, okay.
It's thoughtfully designed to build upon the others, maximizing every area of your financial life. The profound argument here is that the sum of these steps, diligently followed, is much, much greater than each one on its own. It's a comprehensive, systematic approach that, if followed, promises to help you accumulate more money and more freedom than you ever thought possible.
The first and arguably most foundational and personal step is to figure out your number.
Your number.
Your number. This isn't some arbitrary fixed amount like a generic $1 million figure. Instead, it's precisely how much you specifically need for your unique definition of financial freedom. Maybe your immediate goal is to simply get out of crushing debt or build an emergency fund.
Or travel, or quit your job entirely.
Exactly. Or get out of debt, or travel, or never work again. The absolute starting point for this calculation is determining your current annual expenses. You can do this by meticulously going through your bank and credit card statements for the last 12 months, categorizing every single expenditure.
That sounds tedious.
It can be, but it's crucial. The source provides a useful benchmark. The average American household spent $57,311 in 2016, with significant portions going to housing, $18,886, transportation, $9,049, and food, $7,203. This is an incredibly powerful, enlightening exercise you can and should do right now to gain crystal clear clarity on where your money is actually going.
And once you have that annual expense number clearly defined, the source suggests a common and powerful guideline for financial independence, the 25x multiplier.
The 25x multiplier.
This means you aim to save 25 times your annual expenses. This number comes from the widely accepted 4% rule, which suggests you can safely withdraw 4% of your invested portfolio each year without depleting the principal, theoretically allowing your money to last indefinitely. Sabatier himself uses this 25x multiplier, often adding additional buffers for peace of mind.
So that's your target number.
That calculated figure becomes your ultimate target. But here's where it truly gets practical for your daily life, understanding the dramatic impact of a single recurring expense on that ultimate number. The formula is simple and eye-opening. Your monthly expense multiplied by 12 months, then by that 25x annual expense multiplier.
Okay, give me an example.
So consider if you spend $350 a month on takeout food. That seemingly small ongoing habit alone requires you to have a staggering $105,000 saved and invested to support it for the rest of your life.
Wow, $105,000 just for takeout.
Just for takeout. If you could cut that down to just $200 a month, you'd effectively save $45,000 off your ultimate number. It makes the invisible, long-term cost of small, everyday habits incredibly tangible and provides a clear incentive to change.
What's truly empowering about this perspective is how it immediately shifts your relationship with money from simply spending to profoundly understanding the long-term impact of every decision on your freedom. This concept also extends to significant one-time future expenses, like planning for a child's college tuition.
Right, those big, scary numbers.
Exactly. For example, if you project needing $80,000 for your 3-year-old child's college tuition in 15 years, you don't simply add $80,000 to your overall financial freedom number. Instead, you use the present value formula.
Okay, finance formula time. Don't scare people off.
No, it's actually pretty straightforward. It's PV, FV, 11 plus RNNM. PV is the present value, how much you need to invest today. FV is the future value, the $80,000 is your expected investment growth rate, let's say 7%. And N is the number of years, so 15.
So you plug in the numbers.
You plug them in, and for that $80,000 in 15 years at 7% growth, you would only need to save approximately $28,995.68 today.
Okay, that's much less intimidating than $80,000.
Exactly. It's a powerful way to calculate how much you need to invest today, given an expected growth rate, to hit a specific financial goal in the future, making those big goals seem much more manageable and achievable.
So what does this powerful tool mean for you? It means you can realistically plan for major life events, whether it's a down payment on a house, your child's education, or a dream sabbatical, without feeling completely overwhelmed, simply by understanding and leveraging the power of investing early and compounding.
And this directly ties into what the source calls the lifestyle factor. The lower your annual expenses, the less money you ultimately need to accumulate for financial freedom, and therefore, the faster you can save and invest.
It's simple math, really. Spend less, need less.
Pretty much. It's about making mindful, intentional spending choices on what truly brings you joy and cutting ruthlessly on everything else. The book challenges us to step back and honestly ask what we really need, what genuinely adds value and happiness to our lives.
Like that car example.
Right. If you're making $30 an hour after tax and you decide to buy a $60,000 car, you are literally trading 2,000 hours of your life. That's an entire year of full-time work for that vehicle. If that car is truly worth a year of your life to you, fine. But the critical point is to be acutely aware of that profound trade-off.
That puts it in stark perspective.
If we connect this to the bigger picture, location plays an incredibly significant, often overlooked role in this lifestyle factor. The cost of living varies wildly depending on where you choose to plant your roots.
Like New York City versus somewhere much cheaper.
For instance, the source vividly compares living in New York City versus Wichita Falls, Texas, using a cost of living index, or COLI. Sabatier shares his own experience. His $50,000 a year in expenses while living in Chicago would balloon to an astounding $117,500 per year in New York City. That's a 2.35 multiplier.
Wow.
This would almost instantly push his personal number from $1.25 million to nearly $3 million, highlighting the insane premium of living in certain high-cost urban areas. Understanding this geographic impact can dramatically alter the amount of money you need to save and invest.
So choosing where you live is a massive financial decision.
A massive lever for accelerating your financial freedom journey.
And this is where it gets incredibly exciting for your personal financial blueprint. The profound impact of consistent side income on your target number. The source emphasizes that if you can generate any consistent expected additional income, whether it's through active work or passive streams, it can dramatically reduce the total amount of money you need to save.
So more income means a lower savings target. How does that work?
Let's make this concrete. If your annual expenses are $50,000 and you manage to generate $2,000 a month in after-tax side income, that's $24,000 a year. Suddenly, you only need your investments to cover the remaining $26,000 of your expenses.
Okay.
This seemingly simple addition reduces your overall number, the 25x target, from $1,250,000 down to $650,000. That's a staggering $600,000 difference.
Just from $2,000 a month side income, that completely transforms the entire equation. It raises an important question. How dramatically can you reduce your ultimate financial freedom target simply by layering in even a modest, consistent side income?
It's huge.
The numbers speak for themselves. Even an extra $200 a month in reliable side income, when compounded, reduces your needed number by $60,000. It's not just about aggressively cutting expenses, although that's important. It's equally about intelligently and sustainably increasing your income streams.
So once you have a clear picture of your number, factoring in expenses, location, and potential side income, we move to step 4. Stop budgeting and instead focus on what truly has the biggest impact on your savings.
Stop budgeting. That sounds radical.
It is a bit. This is where we really drill down into the practical, how to apply these lessons to daily life. The source boldly challenges the conventional wisdom around budgeting, claiming that traditional budgets, while they can work for some, often reinforce a scarcity mindset, making you feel deprived.
Okay, can see that. Always feeling like you can't have things.
Exactly. Instead, the radical focus should be on maximizing your overall savings rate by strategically tackling your biggest expenses first. Forget the tedious nickel and diming yourself on small things that might bring you joy. The real leverage is in the high-impact areas.
What stands out here is the clear, data-driven insight provided on where our money truly goes. The source highlights that housing accounts for about 33% of the average American budget, transportation for 19%, and food for 13%.
The big three?
The big three. Combined, these account for approximately 61% of total expenditures, or closer to 70% of spendable income after essential deductions like Social Security. This vividly illustrates where the most significant opportunities for savings and lifestyle optimization lie.
Makes sense. Focus where the money is actually going.
The source effectively illustrates this with the story of Travis, an old friend of the author's parents. Travis would meticulously drive 40 minutes out of his way just to save $20 on a case of wine.
Okay, frugal guy.
Yet he and his wife both purchased brand new cars for at least $40,000 each. By choosing 2-year-old versions of the same cars, they could have easily saved $10,000 each, or $20,000 total. Opting for 5-year-old models could have saved them a staggering $40,000, effectively getting one car for free.
Wow. That's penny wise and pound foolish, right?
Absolutely. This example profoundly highlights the futility of hyper-focusing on low-impact savings while overlooking the massive financial leaks in high-impact decisions.
That Travis example really puts things into perspective, doesn't it? It's about being truly conscious and making high-impact choices that genuinely move the needle. The source then dives into incredibly practical ways to reduce these big three expenses, offering actionable strategies. For housing, which, as we discussed, is the largest expense for most people.
What's the advice?
The advice is direct. Move to a smaller, cheaper place. Sabatier himself dramatically cut his housing costs by moving from a $1,500 a month apartment to a $700 one. That seemingly simple move saved him $25,000 in just a few years, an amount that is now worth over $100,000 in investment growth due to compounding.
Just from moving. That's powerful.
Another brilliant strategy is house sitting, which can provide free accommodation, often in luxurious homes, through reputable websites like Trusted House Sitters or Nomador. Even better is house hacking, buying a multi-unit property, living in one unit, and renting out the others you don't occupy.
The house hacking strategy.
Adam, a millennial money reader, famously bought an 8-unit building at just 24 years old, which generated an extra $2,500 a month in income, effectively allowing him to live for free. Or consider creative bartering, like nannying for free rent. The target here is to spend 30% or less of your after-tax income on housing.
What's truly ingenious about these housing strategies is their versatility. They transform what is typically your largest liability into either a significant asset or a near-zero cost living situation. Moving to transportation, which accounts for another substantial 19% of the average budget.
What's the big win there, besides not buying $40 K new cars like Travis?
Right. The easiest and most effective way to save here is to always buy used cars for cash, completely avoiding the average monthly loan payment of $517. That $517, if invested, could grow to over $46,365 in just 6 years, or a staggering $187,256 in 20 years, simply by sidestepping a car payment.
Just avoiding the payment makes that much difference.
It really does compound. The best way to save, as Sabatier himself demonstrated, is to not own a car at all, a decision that saved him $40,000 in just 5 years, simply by walking and using public transport.
Going car-free is a big one.
It is. Practical alternatives include highly fuel-efficient mopeds that get 100 mpg, robust public transport systems, carpooling, or even ride-sharing services like Uber or Lyft. The source insightfully highlights using your commute time on public transport for productive activities like side hustles or turning dead time into valuable time.
That's a powerful idea. You effectively buy back your time and use it for something productive, rather than just passively sitting in traffic.
Yeah.
And when it comes to travel, often seen as a major expense, the source introduces the concept of travel hacking.
Okay, travel hacking. Sounds intriguing.
It's the art and science of finding strategic loopholes to travel for less, often for free. This includes using incognito browsing when searching for flights to avoid variable airline pricing.
Oh, they do that.
Apparently. Also traveling during the off-season to save 50% or more on flights and accommodation, buying one-way tickets, which can sometimes be cheaper than round trips, and even buying tickets one at a time for families to avoid being automatically bumped to higher pricing tiers when the airline only has 1 or 2 seats left at a lower price.
Sneaky, but smart.
It's all about being incredibly strategic and informed.
These are not minor tweaks, but significant shifts in behavior that can yield truly substantial financial returns. For food, which accounts for 13% of the budget, the core message is clear. Cooking at home is key.
The steakhouse example.
Exactly. The source vividly illustrates this, revealing that a $60 ribeye at a steakhouse costs 400% more than a $15 one bought at a grocery store and cooked in your own kitchen.
400%.
Yeah. Practical strategies include buying in bulk from discount stores like Costco, utilizing Amazon's Subscribe and Save feature for regular grocery deliveries, joining restaurant meal clubs for exclusive promotions, always opting for water when dining out to avoid inflated drink prices, and strategically buying discounted gift cards from legitimate resellers for 25% savings on restaurant meals.
Lots of practical tips there.
The overarching message for Step 4 is clear. Ruthlessly eliminate or significantly reduce your biggest expenses first, and then be mindful of smaller ones without sacrificing the things that genuinely bring joy.
Okay, so optimize the big three. Then we move on to step 5. Hack your 9 to 5. This might sound counterintuitive, especially since we're talking about financial freedom and potentially early retirement.
Right, why focus on the job you want to leave?
But the truth is, your current job isn't just a paycheck. It's an incredibly valuable foundation and a powerful launching pad for your financial journey. It offers a steady salary, often valuable benefits, crucial opportunities for learning new skills, and a network of connections that can open doors.
Okay, so leverage what you have.
Exactly. The first major hack is simply maximizing those existing benefits. The source strongly suggests scheduling a simple 30-minute meeting with your HR department. They are specifically trained to help you understand and make the absolute most of what's available to you.
Like what kind of benefits?
This includes health savings accounts, HSAs, which are incredible tools offering a triple tax benefit, pre-tax contributions, tax-free withdrawals for qualified medical expenses, and they grow like a retirement account. There's also the Dependent Care FSA, which allows you to set aside up to $5,000 tax-free for childcare expenses, and of course, ensuring you're maximizing your 401k match.
Which is free money.
It is literally free money from your employer.
Yeah.
If you're leaving that on the table, you're essentially walking away from a raise.
What's genuinely fascinating here is the emphasis on actively understanding and utilizing these often overlooked benefits, effectively transforming them into powerful tools for accelerated wealth accumulation. Beyond maximizing existing benefits, one of the biggest game changers mentioned is remote work.
The dream for many.
Right. The source highlights Brian, a network administrator earning $100,000 a year who works almost 100% remotely. He only needs to dedicate 15-20 hours a week to his full-time job, which frees up his remaining time to run a consulting company that brings in an additional $150,000 annually.
Wow. So remote work freed up time for a massive side income.
Exactly. This isn't just about convenience. It's about reclaiming massive chunks of your time to pursue other lucrative opportunities, build additional income streams, or simply live a more balanced and fulfilling life. The key, the source emphasizes, is to negotiate for this flexibility based on the measurable value you bring to your company.
And negotiating isn't just for remote work. It's absolutely crucial for getting a raise, which is another vital part of hacking your 9 to 5. The detailed process outlined in the source has helped many, including one reader who secured a staggering $80,000 raise.
An $80,000 raise? How?
First, you need to thoroughly research and figure out your true market value using sites like PayScale or Glassdoor. Your boss, crucially, knows what it would cost to replace you, typically $20,000 or more so. Use that understanding to your advantage in negotiations.
Know your worth and know their cost to replace you. Smart.
Second, and this is key, you must quantify your value. Specifically, what money have you brought in or saved for the company? The example of Victor, a 26-year-old sales professional, perfectly illustrates this. He was bringing in $1.5 million in new business, but only making $45,000.
Seriously underpaid.
Totally. After applying these strategies, he confidently negotiated an $80,000 raise, boosting his salary to $125,000. That additional $80,000, if diligently invested at a conservative 7% per year, could amount to over $8.8 million in additional earnings over 20 years.
That is a truly life-changing amount, vividly demonstrating the long-term compounding impact of a single successful negotiation. The strategy for asking for a raise is also meticulously detailed.
How do you actually ask?
Start by genuinely expressing your enjoyment for the company and your role, then clearly articulate why you deserve a raise. Back this up with concrete data. Increased responsibilities, your research market value, or even competitive offers from recruiters. Ask for a specific percentage, aiming for 10, 15%, or even more if you are significantly underpaid, ideally targeting the 90th percentile salary ranges for your position.
And timing matters.
Timing can help. The source suggests the best times to ask are during your annual review, after taking on increased workload, following a successful project or initiative, or even strategically on a Friday morning before noon when people tend to be more relaxed and open to positive discussions.
What's particularly insightful here is the blend of practical, tactical advice with smart psychological understanding. Beyond just raises, there's also the profound, often underestimated power of networking.
Networking. Not everyone's favorite activity.
Maybe not. But the source recommends a simple, actionable habit, reaching out to one new person a week for an hour-long lunch or coffee. This isn't just about finding a new job. It's about consistently building meaningful connections, learning from others' experiences, spotting patterns, and uncovering opportunities you might not even know exist.
So it's about building relationships over time.
Exactly. Sabatier himself attributes at least $250,000 in side hustle client referrals directly to these early consistent networking lunches with former coworkers and industry contacts. These relationships compound over time, opening doors and accelerating your journey in unexpected ways.
Okay, so hacking the 9 to 5 is about maximizing benefits, negotiating raises and flexibility, and building your network. Then, step 6.
Step 6. The critical need to start a profitable side hustle and proactively diversify your income streams. This foundational step moves you beyond the traditional model of simply trading hours for money, actively encouraging an enterprise mindset where your income isn't solely dependent on your full-time job.
And we already touched on how side income drastically reduces your number.
Yeah, we did. The impact on your number, that ultimate financial freedom goal, is truly drastic. The source provides a compelling table showing how a consistent monthly side income of just $250 reduces your needed financial independence target by $75,000, while a more substantial $2,000 a month reduces it by a staggering $600,000.
It's consistently presented as the fastest way to accelerate the journey.
It really is. It gives you control and optionality. And the source offers inspiring real-world examples like Matt, a 25-year-old graphic designer who makes $55,000 a year at his full-time job, but an additional $200,000 a year from his dog walking company.
200 grand walking dogs, seriously.
Seriously. Which he strategically started in college and continued to grow. This story vividly highlights the power of working for yourself versus solely working for others. When you work for yourself, you gain more control over your rates, you earn 100% of the profit after overhead, and crucially, you can scale your efforts by eventually hiring others, effectively multiplying your earning potential.
Right, you're not limited by your own hours anymore.
The ultimate goal, and the true power, is to create genuinely passive income streams that not only cover your living expenses, but give you surplus to reinvest and grow.
This often leads to the practical question. How do you realistically find the time for a side hustle when you're already juggling a full-time job and personal commitments?
Yeah, the time crunch is real.
The source provides incredibly practical and actionable advice. Identify and reclaim extra hours you might not even realize you have. Sabatier suggests harnessing the power of mornings, dedicating 2-3 focused hours before others wake up, utilizing evenings, and committing to working strategically on weekends.
And cutting distractions.
He firmly advises cutting out major distractions like excessive social media scrolling or passive TV watching. He states, with absolute conviction, if you want it badly enough, you're going to find the time. It's about being disciplined and rigorously focusing on high ROI activities.
Okay, so find the time. But how do you pick the right side hustle?
Good question. To help you pick the right side hustle, one that genuinely works for you, the source provides a fantastic, practical evaluation framework. First, consider your passions and interests. What do you truly love doing that others might be willing to pay for? This ensures longevity and enjoyment.
So start with what you like.
Right. Second, assess your skills. What skills do you already possess, even if they're outside your current job? Or what new skills are you genuinely willing to learn? The source highlights that you can learn almost anything for free on YouTube or through inexpensive online courses like those on Coursera or Udemy, profoundly encouraging a lifetime learning approach.
So passion and skills. What else?
Third, rigorously research market demand and competition using tools like Google Keyword Planner to find niches with high demand and low competition. This allows you to identify truly unmet needs. Fourth, specialize in a niche.
Niche down.
Exactly. Sabatier himself focused on building websites specifically for law firms and real estate agents. This niche specialization made it significantly easier to get referrals, build a reputation, and position himself as the go-to expert in that specific area, allowing him to charge more.
That makes sense. Easier to become known for one thing.
What's truly strategic here is the approach to pricing your services effectively. The source outlines 6 critical factors that dictate how much you can charge: your inherent skill level and expertise, the market demand, competitor pricing, the added value you provide, the perceived value of your service, which is crucial.
Perceived value.
Yeah, people often buy based on perceived worth, not just raw cost. And finally, the client's ability to pay. It insightfully suggests that it's often far more efficient and profitable to have 5 clients paying you $20,000 each than to try and manage 5,000 clients paying $200 each.
Fewer, bigger clients can be better.
Often, yes. For the same revenue, it can be less stressful and more scalable. Authenticity is also paramount in selling. Creating a compelling website, clearly sharing your aha moment, your mission, and your genuine passion for what you do. This transparency builds trust, and trust ultimately leads to sales.
Exactly. Authenticity builds trust, and trust is the bedrock of any successful venture. Your first clients are absolutely crucial, not just for the immediate income, but for invaluable feedback and, most importantly, powerful references.
Like Sabatier's first Craigslist client.
Exactly. That lawyer he found generated over $300,000 in additional business for him through word-of-mouth referrals. The source acknowledges that the transition from solopreneur to a true entrepreneur involves more responsibility, but it also offers far greater freedom and growth potential. It emphasizes building a lifestyle business that fits your ideal life balance.
Like Matt the dog walker.
Like Matt, who intentionally chose not to double the size of his dog walking business so he could maintain his desired work-life balance and enjoy his freedom.
Okay, so find your number, optimize big expenses, hack the 9 to 5, start a side hustle. What's the final step? Step 7.
Finally, we arrive at step 7, the culmination of the entire blueprint. Invest as much money as early and often as you can. This is the ultimate form of passive income, where your accumulated money diligently works for you, generating more money without requiring any further time or active effort on your part.
Money making money.
This is the core strategy the wealthy utilize, not only to build their fortunes, but crucially, to maintain and grow them. The foundational insight here is truly understanding the true cost of money. Every single dollar you spend isn't just its face value. It's also a valuable piece of your finite time and the future potential value that dollar could have generated if it had been invested.
This is that mindset shift again.
This is the core shift in mindset that can completely transform your financial future. Every dollar you spend isn't just a dollar. It's a piece of your precious freedom, a potential chunk of your future. Once you truly grasp that profound concept, you start making very different, much more intentional choices about your spending.
How does the source break that down?
In these several eye-opening calculations. First, your real hourly rate. This isn't just your take-home pay divided by hours worked. It accounts for all the unseen time commitments. Your daily commute, which for Americans averages 53 minutes a day. The time spent getting ready for work, the necessary de-stressing time after work.
All the time around work.
Exactly. And even time spent traveling for work. Sabatier vividly recounts how a friend, a highly paid business consultant earning $250,000 a year, was blown away when his real hourly rate, after factoring in constant travel and incredibly long hours, was only about $35 per hour after tax.
Wow, $250K down to $35 an hour.
This stark realization of how much time he was truly trading for that money prompted him to fundamentally reevaluate and change jobs.
What's truly illuminating here is the often hidden cost of your everyday purchases. The source details the pre-tax cost of buying something, revealing how much you actually need to earn before taxes to afford an item.
So, more than the sticker price.
Much more. If you're at a 25% tax bracket, a seemingly inexpensive $3 cup of coffee actually costs you $4 in pre-tax earnings. A $40,000 car, on the other hand, requires approximately $53,333 in pre-tax income. This makes the true underlying cost of consumerism much clearer.
And then there's the time cost.
Furthermore, and perhaps most impactful, there's the time traded for purchases. Using Sabatier's own calculated after-tax hourly rate of $10.79 from his early job, that $3 coffee cost him 16 minutes and 40 seconds of his life. A $40,000 car, in contrast, cost him a staggering 3,707 hours of his life.
That's nearly 2 full years of full-time work for a car. And I'm sitting here thinking about my last latte.
Yeah.
Maybe that extra 16 minutes wasn't worth it after all. It truly does shift your perspective.
It really does.
But perhaps the most powerful revelation in this section is the future value of money spent. The source calculates that the relatively modest $1,095 you might spend annually on a daily coffee could, if diligently invested at a conservative 7% annual growth rate, be worth a staggering $120,859.30 in 30 years.
Over $120,000 from skipping coffee.
If that money was invested instead, yes. This isn't about denying yourself all joy or living a monastic life, but rather about deeply understanding the immense opportunity cost of your daily spending habits. It serves as an incredibly powerful motivator to rigorously prioritize saving and investing over discretionary consumption.
What truly underpins these calculations is the principle of smart investing. The source forcefully stresses that fearing market losses and therefore keeping your money idle often leads to a guaranteed loss to inflation.
Right, that 1% savings account versus 2-3% inflation.
For instance, holding your money in a traditional 1% savings account while inflation averages 2-3% annually means you are actively and predictably losing purchasing power year after year. Losing to inflation is a guaranteed loss, as the source puts it.
So you have to invest, basically.
While having an emergency fund of 6 months of living expenses in easily accessible cash or very low-risk investments like short-term bonds is crucial, especially increasing it to 12 months as you approach financial independence, you must not allow fear to paralyze your investing strategy.
Absolutely. The source champions bonds for their inherently lower risk and fixed interest rates, making them ideal for providing short-term stability and acting as a ballast in a diversified portfolio. It cites the Vanguard Wellesley Income Fund, which, with a balanced allocation of 30% stocks and 60% bonds, returned an impressive 7.31% over 5 years, significantly outperforming typical savings accounts.
So bonds have their place, but what about stocks for growth?
For true long-term growth and wealth accumulation, stocks are unequivocally king. Historical data over 100 years reveals that the U.S. stock market has averaged approximately 7.3% annual growth after inflation. The fundamental trend has consistently been upward over time, despite inevitable short-term volatility and corrections.
This raises an important question for many listeners. How do you navigate the stock market effectively without succumbing to emotional decision-making or feeling like you need to be a stock-picking genius?
Yeah, it can seem intimidating.
The source strongly advises against individual stock picking for the vast majority of people. Research overwhelmingly shows that over 90% of active investors, including professionals, consistently underperform the broader market over 15-year periods.
Well, trying to beat the market usually fails.
Usually, yes. Instead, it vehemently advocates for investing in diversified, low-cost index funds, such as an S&P 500 fund or a total stock market fund. These funds passively track the overall market, offer incredibly low fees, and are highly tax-efficient, consistently outperforming most actively managed portfolios.
Like the Enron example shows, individual stocks can be risky.
Exactly. It mentions the infamous Enron collapse as a stark cautionary tale. Individual stocks can, in extreme cases, go to zero. While Sabatier himself holds a small percentage, up to 5%, in high-conviction individual stocks like Amazon and Apple, the core of one's portfolio should consistently be broadly diversified index funds. Keep individual stocks to a maximum of 5% of your portfolio.
And the recommendation for asset allocation is refreshingly straightforward. If you are 10 or more years away from your financial freedom number or traditional retirement, a 100% stock allocation is generally recommended to maximize growth.
All in on stocks early on.
Pretty much. As you get closer to your target, you would gradually shift to a more conservative allocation, perhaps moving towards 70% stocks and 30% bonds, or even 60-40 to reduce volatility.
Makes sense. Reduce risk as you get closer.
A truly critical point highlighted is the relentless importance of minimizing fees. The source warns that even seemingly small fees, such as 0.5% to 1%, can have an enormous negative compounding effect over decades.
Fees eat into your returns over time.
Massively. It uses a compelling example of Jim and Jane, a couple who, due to unknowingly paying 2.2% in annual investment fees, lost a staggering $1.5 million over 25 years, compared to what they would have had with a low-fee index fund charging just 0.04%.
$1.5 million lost to fees.
Crazy, right? The clear takeaway, reevaluate any investment fee over 0.30% with extreme scrutiny.
This immediately leads us to how to optimize your investments for maximum tax efficiency, which the source emphasizes as absolutely crucial for maximizing your returns. It meticulously outlines various tax-advantaged accounts.
Okay, let's break down the tax stuff simply.
Right. For accounts with tax-free contributions, meaning you get a tax deduction now but pay taxes on withdrawals later, there are 401ks, especially compelling if your employer offers a match that free money again, solo 401ks for the self-employed, traditional IRAs, SEP IRAs, and health savings accounts, HSAs.
HSAs are the ones with the triple tax benefit.
HSAs are singled out for their unique triple tax benefit: pre-tax contributions, tax-free growth, and tax-free withdrawals for qualified medical expenses. Plus, they become fully accessible at 65 for any purpose without penalty, just like a traditional IRA.
Wow, HSAs sound amazing if you qualify.
They really are powerful. For accounts with tax-free withdrawals, meaning you pay taxes on contributions now but enjoy tax-free growth and withdrawals later, there are Roth 401ks and Roth IRAs, where contributions can be withdrawn anytime tax-free without penalty.
So pay tax now or pay tax later, essentially.
That's the basic choice. The government 457B plan is also highlighted as an exceptional option if available, often for government employees, allowing penalty-free withdrawals before the traditional age of 59 and a half.
Okay, lots of options there. Max those out first.
Absolutely. Max out those incredibly powerful tax-advantaged accounts first. If you still have additional money to invest after that, you move to taxable brokerage accounts.
And how do taxes work there?
Here, you will pay taxes on your gains annually, but it's important to note that long-term capital gains for investments held over a year are taxed at a significantly lower rate than your regular income. Crucially, if your income remains below certain thresholds, currently $75,900 for married couples filing jointly, or $37,950 for singles in 2019 dollars, check current limits. Your investment withdrawals from these taxable accounts can be entirely tax-free.
Tax-free gains even in a taxable account. That's huge.
It offers a powerful incentive to strategically manage your income and deductions. Hold bonds here for a lower annual tax burden since their interest is taxed as ordinary income.
And the final piece of investing advice
Is a powerful hybrid approach. Automate your regular contributions to ensure consistency, but also manually invest all additional money you receive from bonuses, side hustles, or raises as quickly as possible. Even a few additional days of compounding, the source stresses significantly add up over decades.
So automate the base and aggressively invest any windfalls.
Exactly. What's genuinely fascinating about this comprehensive approach is its inclusion of real estate investing as another powerful tool for diversification and leverage. The source argues that real estate can, in some crucial ways, be a better investment than stocks, primarily due to its potential for both consistent appreciation and the unparalleled ability to utilize other people's money through mortgages.
Right, leverage is key in real estate.
It strongly champions house hacking living for free by strategically buying a multi-unit property, living in one unit, and renting out the other rooms or units. It again highlights the inspiring story of Adam, who bought an 8-unit building at just 24 years old, effectively living for free while generating substantial income.
The benefits of real estate investing, when done strategically, are clear and compelling. Consistent rental income, long-term property appreciation, and significant tax deductions on mortgage interest, property taxes, and even depreciation. Mortgages, in this context, are surprisingly framed as good debt.
Good debt. Interesting.
Because you're using borrowed money to acquire an appreciating asset that can generate cash flow. You don't necessarily need a hefty 20% down payment. 5% down is often possible with certain loan types. The source advises opting for a 15-year fixed-rate mortgage over a 30-year if financially feasible, as it saves substantial interest over the long run.
Pay it off faster, save interest.
Right, and you always have the option to refinance for lower rates or to pull out equity for further investments.
What's deeply insightful here is the strong preference for buy and hold strategies over rapidly flipping properties for long-term financial independence.
Buy and hold, not flip.
Buying and holding creates consistent, predictable cash flow through rental income, which can comfortably cover your mortgage debt and monthly expenses, all while the underlying property appreciates in value. The source provides a compelling example of a 5-property portfolio generating a robust $6,250 per month in cash flow.
Okay, that's solid passive income.
Finally, it offers 9 invaluable tips for finding amazing investment properties. Developing clear criteria, setting a budget, aggressively seeking positive cash flow, using the 1% rule, where monthly rent is at least 1% of the sale price, a simple benchmark.
The 1% rule, good quick check.
Finding a great realtor, hunting off-season, looking for foreclosure short sales, test driving neighborhoods, using an inspector, and critically, being prepared to confidently walk away if it doesn't meet your criteria.
Don't fall in love with a bad deal.
Precisely.
Now, all these steps, all this learning, this entire blueprint, culminates in the truly crucial point: action over mere learning. The source firmly states there is no substitute for actually getting out and doing it.
Gotta actually do it.
You will inevitably make mistakes along the way, but the absolute key is to not let those mistakes derail you. Instead, just keep at it. It's fundamentally about building consistent, positive habits that relentlessly support your financial journey, weaving them into the fabric of your daily life.
So build the habits.
The book lays out a clear, actionable, future optimization framework for daily, weekly, monthly, quarterly, and annual habits.
What's genuinely practical and empowering here is the precise, actionable nature of these habits. Daily, for just 5 minutes, you should actively block time for money-related tasks, consciously say no to non-priorities that drain your time, cancel unnecessary meetings, deliberately schedule moments of joy and relaxation, and strictly limit email and phone distractions.
Just 5 minutes a day. Seems manageable.
Weekly, dedicate a concise 10 minutes to checking your passive and secondary income performance and meticulously reviewing all your credit card charges. Monthly, commit a focused hour to review your savings performance. Make an effort to increase your savers percentage by at least 1% every 30-90 days.
That incremental increase is key.
And for emotional reinforcement, even pay your bills manually to feel it and encourage reevaluation of expenses.
And the deep dive into these optimization habits continues with quarterly and annual routines. Quarterly, take a dedicated hour to thoughtfully rebalance your investment portfolio, ensuring it aligns with your risk tolerance and goals. Annually, commit 3 comprehensive hours to review your automated investments, prepare meticulously for tax optimization, project your cash flow for the upcoming year, thoroughly check all investment fees to ensure they remain low, and review all your annual subscriptions, canceling anything you no longer need.
That's a solid system for staying on track.
This structured, iterative approach ensures continuous optimization, making financial growth an ongoing process, not just a one-time effort.
Ultimately, the profound why behind this entire hustle, all the saving, investing, and hard work, is paramount. Financial freedom, as the source defines it, isn't about traditional retirement in the sense of stopping work entirely.
It's not just about stopping work.
No. It's about gaining the ability to make work truly optional, to passionately pursue your deepest interests, travel the world, dedicate yourself to causes you care about, or simply give back to your community. The source highlights incredibly inspiring examples. Michelle, a successful blogger who now works less than 10 hours a week and travels full-time. Anita, a lawyer who courageously quit at 33 and saw her chronic stress profoundly subside.
Wow.
Justin, a civil engineer laid off at 33, who now blissfully reads in a hammock every single day, and Christine Bryce, who retired in their early 30s and now dedicate their freed up time to significant charity work and giving back.
It's truly about living a life defined by you, on your own terms, not by the expectations or pressures of others. The source emphasizes a crucial truth. Life money. It's a vital reminder to always remember your family, your friends, and your health.
Don't sacrifice life for money.
Don't fall into the trap of burning out. Instead, learn to chill as hard as you hustle, intentionally taking breaks, immersing yourself in nature, eating healthy, and prioritizing sufficient sleep. It also powerfully encourages you to define your own success, to live your unique life, not the one your neighbor, your coworker, or the curated feeds on social media might dictate. You genuinely don't need a fancy car or massive house to live an amazing, deeply fulfilling life.
This raises an important question. How comfortable are you with taking calculated risks? The source passionately encourages embracing them. Fear, while serving as a natural protective mechanism, can also prevent us from truly living and reaching our full potential.
Financial freedom gives you the cushion to take those risks.
Exactly. Financial freedom, paradoxically, allows for more calculated risks, which in turn can lead to bigger opportunities, richer experiences, more compelling stories, and ultimately a more fulfilling life. Whether it's having the courage to ask for a significant raise, taking the leap to start a profitable side hustle, or pushing your savings rate to an ambitious 50% or more, these calculated risks are often the catalysts that dramatically accelerate your path to freedom.
Makes sense.
The final, enduring message is to keep testing and relentlessly optimizing your approach, adapting your strategy as life inevitably changes, and, crucially, to share your journey and actively ask for help, helping to break the pervasive taboo around discussing money.
Exactly. It's all about taking those calculated risks we've discussed today, diligently applying these transformative lessons to your daily life, and beginning or continuing the journey. This deep dive has shown you the tools, the principles, and the concrete blueprint for a life where work is optional, where you can pursue what truly matters.
We covered a lot.
We really did. We've talked about the critical importance of figuring out your specific number, optimizing your biggest expenses, strategically hacking your existing job, building powerful side income streams, and investing intelligently and consistently. By understanding and consistently applying these principles, you are actively building a blueprint for a life of unparalleled freedom and purpose.
This truly leaves us with a profound question. If you had absolute, unconstrained control over your time and resources, what deeply meaningful pursuit would you dedicate yourself to? Because ultimately, financial freedom is not the destination in itself. It is simply the powerful vehicle designed to get you there, allowing you to live a life truly authentic to yourself.
Precisely. What's one calculated step you can take today to buy back a piece of your future freedom? The world needs you to be you. We all get only one life, so live your own, fully and intentionally.